of the House of Assembly. I mean, you're a first timer and you became speaker. That's unusual in Nigeria's legislative, process. I can't think of a precedent for that. How did that happen? And how has that come to you? Have you felt overwhelmed? How have you handled it so far?
Well, thank you. First, let me say I contested the election into the State House of Assembly to represent the good people of Esan West constituency. And for me, it was to come and carry out the legislative business. So for us, other members were sworn. Shortly after that, we had 3 other members, coming to take oath of office individually, and we opened up that space. I'm sure that, through your station and other media stations across, the state, we were appealing for a period of 6 months, between June to December, appealing to these guys, to please come and take oath of office and join us to do what we are elected to do. So it was from one issue to the other. They said, they are not interested, they don't believe in the proclamation of the governor. The governor does not have a right to proclaim the house. And it's been from one issue, to the other. And when it got to, the mandatory period of 181 days, because that's what the law stipulates, that states, once you don't come to take your seat for a period of 181 days, such seat will be declared vacant. So we actually wanted our brothers across the constituencies to come and take up the responsibility. So when it got to that point, the House resolved that we declare the seat vacant and allow INEC conduct a by-election to get fresh people to come in. Unfortunately, they went to court to stop that process, and that's why where we are today.
How does it feel knowing that you are the only House Assembly out of the 36 in Nigeria that is operating subpar, below the threshold? Are you comfortable with that kind of move?
Well, it's an unusual moment. You can't give what you don't have. As we speak, out of what if the 10 people who are in the house now choose to stay away? It means that the activities of the government will be grounded. And those people are yearning for development every day. So for us, I think we should be celebrated to have chosen to stay with the government, regardless of the situation, to help develop. Because if you don't have a house, you will not be able to make budgetary provisions. You will not be able to get endorsement for policies and programs for the state. It means that the state would have been on a standstill. So it was a matter of some kind of power tussle between some individuals, and some of us felt like, no, above any personal interest, we must work for the interest of Edo people. So it's a very unusual situation that no one actually prays for, but we are in it, so we have to deal with it.
Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we will continue our conversation with Right Honorable Marcus Onobun. We'll talk some politics. We'll talk about the Esan Agenda. Remember, he's from Esan land, he's from Edo Central, and we understand that there's some political permutations going on, as well as other issues. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Still dialogue here. Welcome back. Of course, in case you just tuned in, it is dialogue here at 92.7 KUFM. We still have with us the Speaker of the Edo State House Assembly, Right Honorable Marcus Onobun. He's been talking to us just before we went to that short break, and he was talking to us about what happened with the controversy surrounding the inauguration of the House of Assembly. Let's talk some politics now. With elections coming up next year, we've started seeing hustling, jostling, maneuverings left, right, and center, and all that. For you, are you going for a second term, or are you going any higher? And then also, that's the first part of the question. And then the second part of the question is, within the PDP, the whole crisis or squabble happening within Edo State's PDP, where does that leave you? With some people threatening that you may leave the party. So I'll start from the last one, the first one.
Well, let me start from the last one. I'm sure you witnessed the visit of our national chairman yesterday, and he has come to clear the air that yes, there are some issues within our party, which is very normal because it's a large family, and we believe that party has the internal mechanism to deal with all those issues. So as for leading the party, I think that is not in the discussion as we speak, because we want to help.
The governor leads to lead with him.
Well, the governor, as we speak today, is the leader of the party, and as a leader, once you make a declaration and your followers are in tune with you, then everybody knows. So for me, I am one of his ardent and ardent follower, and I believe in him so well. So if he chooses to leave, the PDP, they certainly will leave with him. But I don't think that is in the discussion, and it's very, very unlikely that that will happen. So if we are seeking election, I'm telling you right now that we'll be seeking it on the platform of the PDP.
All right. There's also the second part of the question. Are you running for a second term? Are you aiming higher? What next for Mr. Onobun?
Well, as we speak, we are still carrying out the business as we. I'm sure that you see with the electoral, amendment, there's been this back and forth. For those people who are appointed, whether they will contest, when you want to contest election, if they will decide or not. So I believe that is still 1 year away, and my hands are full right now with carrying out the business and legislative business. So I'm young, and I'm still very much viable to contest any available position. But for now, I'm just trying to not lose focus, because there's a lot on our plates right now, but as for the 2023, we still have time, and I can assure you that.
The reason I'm asking this question is we've been seeing flyers, posters around with, in Onobun we know, Onobun we trust. Yeah, I saw one of them somewhere around Opurum, but there was no position written there, nothing, just a picture of you and in Onobun we trust. And I know that is not the only one around. So it leaves people wondering, okay, what game is being played? Is there some political negotiation going on behind the scenes? Is it aiming higher? Is it aiming to retain the seat, or something? So that's why I have to put up that question.
Yes,
and those are your people who are putting out those posters.
Well, first, it's one thing for you to decide what you want. Another thing is for your fans and your followers. Sometimes I drive by some areas and I see some stickers, some flyers on social media, and I'm actually wondering, who are these people? In fact, I walked into a place 2 days ago and I met somebody who told me he's just coming from overseas, and they said, "Oh, I'm your big fan." So these are people, so you don't really, and some of them don't fully where elections are coming. Everyone is coming. Some people come to pray for you to say, "Oh, we wish you are this, we wish you are that." But like I said, at the right time, I'll take decision as to what I really want. But I am young in politics. I am viable for any position. And when it comes to 2023, I'll be contesting the election.
All right, he says he'll be contesting the election, but he's still consulting. What about the Esan Agenda? You come from Esan, that's Edo Central, and we understand that there's been a clamor by the people to hold the #1 position in the states. In fact, I do remember that when the political electioneering process was happening for the second tenure election of the current government, there was a mooted conversations, saying, okay, he's going to do the second tenure, after which he's going to hand over to someone from Edo Central, which you happen to come from. Is there such an agreement in place? And what is the status of the Esan Agenda? In fact, what is the Esan Agenda at the moment?
Well, first, Esan Agenda, to my understanding, is how to develop Esan land. Because every ethnic group, people that come together, they obviously have their ambition as to what they want to have to do with development in all areas. And for some of us who are from the Esan extraction, we are trying to mobilize human and material resources to see how we can bring development to our place. Unfortunately, people tend to just brand this Esan Agenda to be like wanting the governorship for Esan for 2024. And for me, if that happens, I can tell you that Esan have viable sons and daughters that they are eligible to contest that position. Then you ask if there is any agreement. There is none that I know of, but I know very well that while we're having the 2020 election for the governorship, where we voted the governor for the second term, all Esan people came together because of the love we have for His Excellency, the governor of Edo State. And we see him as one of our own. And we thought that we should give him that support. And he has demonstrated so far that he respects us and he sees us as, brothers. So for the governorship 2024 as to where it will go, it's God that actually gives power.
And but will your people be pushing actively for it?
Well, why not? They are very much qualified, and considering the fact that the zoning arrangement, which the unspoken word as to the zoning, Esan is ripe for that position. But there's one thing I want our people to understand, that this, whether you have zoning in principle or in documents or whatever, anybody that wants to be the governor of Edo State must be detribalized. You must not come on the platform to say, oh, because I am Esan, oh, because I am Afeman, oh, because I am Benin. So everybody must sit on the table and agree to somebody that is detribalized, somebody that have, interpersonal relationship across the 3 senatorial districts. So it's not just going to be an Esan affair, but it's going to be mostly, if you ask me, that of the Edo South, because considering the population of Edo South, considering the population of the voting population of Edo South in the state, they must be in the discussion table to say, oh, this is who we think can, take us beyond the point where Obaseki, has been. So
you are there already. I don't know what your position is. With regards to this debate about youth participation in politics, youth participation in governance, and all of that, is youth or youthfulness an advantage on its own, or do we have to kind of continue with something? I'd like to get a thoughts on that.
Well, youthfulness is an advantage, a very big one at that. Because in one of the popular quotes of Shakespeare, he did mention that life is a stage. It has its entry and exits. What you make out of it is what matters. So the youthful stage is a development stage of everyone. So you go through from childhood through the youthful age to get into an adult. And that is the time where you have the energy, the ability to move around. For instance, I just mentioned to you, like, I had, some kind of meetings, almost all through the night. And this morning I'm here, 2 hours, I've not been able to reach. Not everyone will have that kind of energy, to do, all of that. So for me, that youthful spirit and zeal, energy, because at that point, for instance, for me, I am concerned about the development of my area, not really about, any matter, because you don't have, when you find yourself in the position, most especially for the one you have passion for, you are not really bothered about the shenanigans of, amassing or doing whatever, but rather to make a point. And for me, the services that I have rendered in the last few years, here in Edo, and it's interesting to know that I didn't just jump into politics. As a matter of fact, this 2022 is my 20th year in politics. So I've been playing active politics since the year 2002 when I got to that voting age.
Please hold on.
Yes.
Pardon me. You said you've been playing active politics since 2002.
Yes.
How old were you when you started active politics?
Yes, at voting age. You know what voting age
because
is?
You were 18.
Exactly.
That's when you started.
Yes.
Now, how old were you when you started contesting?
Well, I started contesting at the age of, I was actually 28 when I started.
When you ran?
Yes. I was.
And what year was that?
I told you I contested in 2011.
Okay. And then you sustained that until you
Of course, yes. I contested 2011, 2015, and 2019.
The reason I'm asking this question is, some young people feel like, okay, once I get to a certain age, go ahead and contest. Since the Electoral Act has been signed, 25 years is okay for anybody to run for this position. So you started running at 28, when before
for the House of Assembly. At one point, also contested for the councillorship for my local government.
So what were the challenges you faced as a young person running?
You see a lot of challenge because I didn't come on stream with the mainstream political party. I started I'm a grassroots mobilizer, and I believe in grassroots mobilization. I recall that I joined the formation of the ACD, ACN, AC, that metamorphosed into APC. I joined all the way from 2006. I was just coming out of school. I recall, putting benches together in my community, calling people to come and join an unknown party. I sat there, and so many people thought what I was doing was, who is this boy? What is he trying to do? And all that. But the encouragement I got while I contested in 2007 as a councillor in my ward was actually what pushed me, because when so many people felt I wasn't, doing the right thing and all that, even though I didn't win that election, but the very few votes they awarded to me encouraged me, because when I looked at it now, I asked myself, if I can get these votes within the community, it means that I can do more. And luckily for me, in 2008, the Adams Oshomole came on board. I became a special assistant. That kind of now took me out of the community to the state, because I worked very closely with him, and that encouraged me to contest the 2011 elections. But unfortunately, it didn't go through. I was still working with him as I worked with Adams Oshomole as a special assistant, senior special assistant. I became executive director for youth affairs. So that again now exposed me to a lot of young people, not just within the state, but across, the South. And between that 2016 and 2018, before I moved back to contest this election, I became deputy chairman of TGID, a political group. Together we can do great things initiative for development, and that is it has a national platform. And as a deputy national chairman, it now gave me the opportunity, to travel around the country to actually do youth business. Our advocacy basically was on youth inclusiveness, youth development, and youth mainstreaming. So in 2018, I got back to contest this election, and thank God 2019 I won, and that's how I got here.
Wow. You'd consider yourself a role model for youth who are looking to get into politics?
Well, it's left for Edo youth. I'm doing my best, and I think with the kind of support and the people that come around, I think I am.
I have to answer. So I will talk about you. What about women? Recently, women have been all over the National Assembly demanding for certain positions. Okay, give us 35% affirmative, give us extra 111 seats. There are 5 gender bills thrown out, but the National Assembly, the House of Reps have said we're going to consider 3. What is your position on women inclusivity in political office, elections, politics in general?
I've made that clear, thoughtfully enough. I made a position paper during the national interaction that had to do with submission of during the the constitutional amendment process. I made the position of Edo known, and top on that list was women inclusiveness, women development, and mainstreaming. And then we talked about indigenship. That was actually stressed, and women participation in politics. And today, I'm sure you agree with me that what we practice in Edo, most especially the executive, we have more than 35% in fact, about 50% of women in the government of Godwin Obaseki. And for me, back at home, it will interest you to know that my biggest fan base is the women. When I contested this election, of course, I contested across 10 wards, with then, 114 units. And we had women mounting all polling units to get, to make sure our votes count. And then, we contested against the PDP in my own senatorial district, where PDP was seen to be, the main political party. And interestingly, we won with a margin of over 4,000 votes. So you can imagine it's a situation where you find some governors not even winning up to 1,000 votes for a House of Assembly, just a constituency. I won with a margin of over 4,000 votes. And now that we have come to the PDP, we have collapsed APC to join the PDP. So any election that we contest in Esan land, and with the support of women, I can assure you that we're going to turn out a massive margin. But however, talking about women participation in politics is very key, and we have tried to encourage women to come into politics, not just as a reason of appointment, but to get them involved in all our political process, to understand that it is not really what they think, because sometimes when women come into politics, they call them all kinds of names and all that. But I have seen a situation where you give women responsibility and they do it so well. So the little opportunity I've had to appoint the personal aides to Mr. Speaker, I've given a substantial number of those positions to women, and they are doing very, very well.
All right, we'll take our last break, and when we come back, I'll allow you to get in on the conversation. If you have any questions for the speaker, that will be the time. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Of course, still dialogue here, and we are on the last lap of the program. Now, while we went to that, the questions have been coming. People have been sending messages as they listen to you. So I'm just going to drop two, and I'd like you to respond to them. So this one says, should the table turn and the ticket is given to anyone outside Esan land, will your people support the candidate? I think the person is asking about the governorship.
When we get to that point, we'll take a decision as a people. But for me, I'm a Democrat. Once my party picks a candidate, I'll set it in work, for any candidate that is chosen.
All right, and the next message says, how much influence do you think political platforms will wield in the emergence of the next governor?
How much influence?
How much influence do you think political platforms will wield in the emergence of the next government?
Well, first, political platform certainly will have a party in Edo. So whoever the PDP futures or maybe the other party, of course, the party have influence as to who becomes, what. Most especially now that we've not had the issue of candidates, running, independent candidates running. Even though the new amendment now suggests that, but it's not being passed into law, and the timing to the election, that is very unlikely to happen in the next 1 or 2 years. So political parties certainly will create a lot of influence, in the emergence of the candidates for any election.
I would see situations where people would say, I belong to this party, but I don't agree with the candidate. I want to vote for another candidate in another party.
Well, it happens with those people who do not really believe in the ideas and principles of a party. Because party, it should be about ideology as to what you want, right? So if you feel uncomfortable with the certain program of political party, you can move, from one party to the other. But that you're in a political party and you choose to vote for another candidate is not really a good
But a democracy.
Yes, it is. It's a democracy. But for those people who are involved in politics itself, but for the other people who just choose to vote any candidate, regardless of political platform, yes, at free will they can choose to. Because the people who voted for me in my constituency, they are not all members of my party. So as for those people, but for the people who are actually, for instance, party officers are not allowed to work or vote for, candidates for other political platform and other platform.
All right, so the phone lines are open now. 0706 263 9275 or 0903 939 4427. You can also send an SMS to 0807 400 9076. Call, turn on the volume radio. You have 1 minute. Okay? Whenever you call, you have 1 minute. You must keep it civil, you must keep it short and straight to the point. Alright? So the first caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning to you.
This is Mr. Omosebo.
Mr. Omosebo, you're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling for my authority in my office.
Your office in Florida.
Yes. First and foremost, I want to greet our honorable speaker. Good morning this morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Osipo.
Yeah, I think the issue I think I was not supposed to go with it, like some of us have been following the politics. I think in 2024, I would prefer if both political parties, APC and PDP, to take the governorship candidate to Edo Central. Because the reason is that for equity and for history sake, because the last governor was from Edo North, this one is from Edo South. Now it's better we take it to Edo Central for history purpose, so that we can be able to balance it and know we get a really dividend of democracy. Because whether we like it or not, we have brilliant and talented people from that part of the state. We have skills in the potential role. Edo North, Edo South, Edo Central. Now it's that Edo Central. So everybody in Edo State, irrespective of the party affiliation, let's point towards that side. So thank you and good morning.
Right. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osifo. I agree with your position. But what I'm saying is, in doing this, we must reach out to our brothers and sisters from the other senatorial districts. Someone who is detribalized, someone who understands the Edo project, someone that will come and help encourage continuity in government. So if we have more people like you push for an Esan, someone from the Edo Central to become a governor, I can tell you that you are working for us. You are, thinking the way we are thinking. So we are looking forward to encouraging the main political parties to see that when it comes to 2024, they give Edo Central a chance. But it's not something that will just come to you free. It's something that you have to negotiate with the people.
All right. Good morning. Who's on the radio?
Yeah, my name is Esan Agenda.
Janla from St. Saviour. Welcome.
Yeah. For me, 2024 ticket is very different that you don't want for because it's only arrangement, you will just rely to get the internal code. See how it will be possible. The arithmetic will come out and that will answer questions. In politics, you cannot just predict where your next ticket will come from. You have to work for this. I concur with the speaker that he said you have to reach out to other people and say yes. So let me want to see that because those have ruled for 15 years or maybe 12, 15 years that they say no, then you are relaxed, just like that. No, you have to work for it. You have to aim it. You have to bring popular candidates. If you have what you want to relax and bring on popular candidates. A popular candidate can come and do something. I don't know. I think take the ticket for the election.
Thank you.
So that's my take with the chance.
All right, thank you, Jana. Thank you for your take. I think you just literally parroted what the speaker just said. All right, who's the next person that is here? Hello.
Good morning.
Please turn down the volume on your radio. All right, JB Dennis, you're welcome.
I want to commend the honorable speaker there, very young that are representing the Edo Central very well at the House of Assembly. Now, I want to concur with what the constitution has said, that if you know everybody that wants to give the governorship in 2024, you make sure that you go to Edo Central. But I say that you work well, the Edo Central have been working well to talk about the political in Nigeria currently. That from the colonial matter, Edo Central have been working well. So they do not use that ideology that they work when they just work hard. Then they don't have to work hard and they demand to be to have government to tell them to become no matter who they present. That's just my conclusion.
Okay, you guys have converted the whole conversation here to strictly politics of Edo South and Edo Central. Okay, but the speaker spoke about so many other things. It seems like we can't separate the Edo man from his politics actually. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Shan. Happy weekend to you. This is Ike from Agenda.
All right, Ike, morning to you.
Yeah, hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Ike.
Yes, only one thing that says is constant, that is change. You changed the game today. So this is supposed to be for the round of you brought the speaker here. That is great. I really commend your effort.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, so Mr. Speaker, please, for equity and fairness, each man should rule the state. I'm a Benin boy, but each man should rule the state because it's enough. Enough is enough. Please, you just don't need to an each man. Seriously. And one thing I love about you, your openness. You just said that where the governor go, you go. Openly. I love that. That is it. You have just said it, and that is all.
I want to ask you something. You said Shaman should rule the state. What about Ishan women? Ishan women cannot rule the state.
Asian woman, anybody should rule. Everybody has the same right. Yes. Sorry for using that word, man. Asian person, okay? I correct my word now. Asian person should rule the state.
Okay.
Seriously.
All right.
Yes, thank you very much. I have a lot to make.
Even this innate, what I call it, misogyny or, well, maybe that's what you call it. Naturally, it's just almost all about the men. Okay, let's take one more call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
My name is Mr. John.
Mr. John, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Opurum East.
Opurum East, all right.
Mr. Speaker, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. John. How is Opurum East?
Hello.
How is Opurum East?
Opurum East is very, very fine.
Good.
I want to first and foremost thank you, Mr. Speaker, for all your legislative work so far in Edo State. We've seen a difference since you became the Speaker for about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken now.
About 2 years.
We must be really huge. We are following the legacy, and I want to appeal that you carry on as you have been doing and be closer to other Nigerian districts as well. Not just only of community, because the youth are actually seeing what you are doing and are trying to be like you. So we are feeling that you should be closer to us more and more. You should give us more opportunity and want to be like you. We are trying to be like you. We love what you are doing and we believe with you that the youth will take over those things in the near future.
All right, thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you. I didn't ask you whether you saw yourself as a role model. Apparently, people are seeing you as a role model already. So, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful, where are you calling from?
I just want to thank the speaker for coming to you. The first thing I need to say.
Mr. Wonderful, where are you? Mr. Wonderful, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Benin. Now is the time for the data people to come out. We are from data. We need to come out because this is our time. And it's Honorable Onobun will be in first, and we are looking at you. And this time around, we are going to grab our opportunity. Our opportunity will not leave this time around, and it will not leave us around. That's just what I want to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Wonderful.
Okay, because we're almost out of time. So quickly, if there's one thing that you thought before you got into the house, maybe a pre-determined or an idea you had of the house before you got in, that being in the house now, occupying the seats, has dispelled for you, or something you thought it was going to be like this, it's a political office, what is that thing that you've seen and then you've been like, oh, I thought it was like this. Okay, I thought when I become this, I get this position, I would have all of this. But it is not. Your position has shown you that no, it doesn't work like that. What is that one thing?
Well, my experience so far are not falling short of what I expect. Reasons because I mentioned to you that I have been in government since 2008, and I have had a very close-knit relationship with legislators, even when I didn't have the opportunity. My beliefs was that I'm coming into the house to be a vocal voice, and to speak for our people. But today I happen to now be, the presiding officer. So what I'm doing now is to work with my colleagues to see that yes, those things I really wanted to do, they are able to, take on the responsibility while I take the red chair to help to, pilot the affairs of the state. So my experience has not fallen short of my expectations at all, but I am even looking for, better opportunity to serving and, helping to render my service, to the people of it.
Quickly, in 30 seconds, where does the House of Assembly sit? Do you sit in the government house or do you sit at the
We sit at the Attorney Complex at King Square.
How? Since when?
We've been there for months. But recall that at some point there was renovation going on.
Yes.
So that renovation has been completed, so we've been sitting there since last year. All the sittings you hear about is at the Attorney Complex.
All right, in 20 seconds, what's your final message to people of Edo State, because we're out of time, right?
My message to the people of Edo State is to continually pray for us, pray for those in government, because it's not really easy, and to promise you that we'll give our best. For me, I pledge to serve at any level or capacity, and I'll continually dedicate my time to the service for the good people of Edo State.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Edo State House of Assembly, right? Honorable Marcus Onobun, thank you for your time. We hope in the future we'll still have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I look forward to coming back here again to talking to my people.
All right. And that's how we ended this morning. My name is Charles Opurum. I'll see you next week. Good morning.
You know I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
What if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Where's your power bank?